In this lesson, we're going to create the strap for the boot. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to use a different tool to create something that looks like a strap and a buckle. And we're going to use the insert mesh to do this. So first thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and select the proper geometry for this, or the proper subtool. Let's go ahead and select the boot finished, and I'm going to hold down Control, and I'm going to just drag outside of that to remove any of the mask. And with this boot, I'm actually going to duplicate it. And the reason that I want to duplicate this is because I'm going to use the insert mesh, and it needs the mesh to be at the lowest subdivision level. And so I like to just go ahead and just create a duplicate of it. It's going to be thrown away anyway, but you'll see how this works here in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and take this down to its lowest subdivision level, hitting Shift D all the way down there. And actually, I may go up one more just to kind of create some smoothness there. Let's go ahead and, with that selected, let's go to our geometry palette. And I'm going to delete higher and delete lower. So that way we don't have any subdivision levels. And I'm going to go to my brush. And I'm going to go to the insert mesh. And I want to look for insert mesh curve. Okay. Now before you get started with drawing on this, you want to make sure that you go up to the brush. And I want to go to the modifiers. And in the modifiers, you're going to see what kind of object is going to be duplicated using the insert mesh tool. Right now, by default, it's set to scales. I don't want scales for this. I want something like a strap. And so we have strap, and then we have wide strap. I'm going to go ahead and use a wide strap on this. And then you want to take your draw size up to determine your overall thickness of that. Now, something else to keep in mind is the overall draw size is also going to determine how smooth the line is going to be. Now, I don't need anything really ornate or really curvy or anything like that. I just want to go ahead and draw from, let's go from this point here, and we'll draw down. We'll go down to here. So something that looks kind of like that. Now, if at any time you don't like the thickness of that, what you can do is go ahead and take your draw size up even further. So let's go to something like 150. And notice if you hover over the line, you get this blue move tool, or excuse me, blue brush. And click on that, you'll notice that it changed size. Now there's a problem with that. While it does give me a thicker piece, it also does change the overall line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control Z. Let's dial that down a little bit. Instead of 150, let's go to something around 75 or so. Click on that again, you'll see that that gets much thicker, something that's a little more manageable, and I like that. Now before we do anything else, notice that whenever we hover over that curve, we have the blue brush. We can go ahead and move these points around and position this right where we want it to be. And so it's going to try and snap right up against the surface. So if you need to make any changes, you can do so at this point. So I'm pretty happy with the way that looks right now. I'm happy with its overall thickness. And now what I'm ready to do is ready to go ahead and split that apart so that way I can continue working on it. Okay, so let's go to our subtool. We have our boot here. We have the curve, and I want to split that into different parts. So I'm going to go to Split, and I'm going to say Split to Parts. We could split to parts, and you'll notice here that it gives us the boot, the original one, and then we have this boot finished, okay, which is exactly what I want here. Now with this, I can come in with something like my move tool, so BMV on that, and I can come in, I can start to move these points around on that strap. Alright, perfect. So let's go ahead and we'll just move these points around, and I'm going to hide that inside underneath that layer. And push that in. And I want it to look like it fits right underneath there, just like that. We'll do the same thing on this side. Let me go ahead and take my draw size up just a little bit further on this one. Push that in. There we go. Great. And then I'm going to take my draw size back down just because I need to do a little bit more work just getting that to fit right in behind there. Alright, great. So there is our strap. Got a nice little thickness to it. If you want, you can kind of bring that out here in the middle a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so there's the strap. Now I want to do a buckle on top of that. Let's go ahead and select our boot again, just like we have here. And I'm going to go ahead and use the Insert Mesh brush again, but I'm actually going to use the Insert Mesh Clothing Hardware. With this selected, let's go ahead and go to Brush, Modifiers, and let's select which one we want. So we have this buckle, and we have a couple of different buckle types. We have one that's just one-sided, like this, or we have one that's double-sided, like this. Whichever one you want to use, that's totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and use this one, okay, the original one we have. Now, one other thing I want you to take note of, take a look at some of these different pieces that you have here. You can actually put these on the jeans. I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm going to leave that up to you. It's the same process that we've done here. You could put some of these different snaps on the boots and get as detailed as you want with it. I'm just going to work on the buckle for right now, but in between lessons you can do whatever you like. So with this one, we're just simply going to draw that on, and it draws right on the surface just like that. So we need to make this large enough for the strap. Let me hit Control-Z one time. Let me go ahead and draw that one more time. I want to make sure that it's large enough for the strap. And let's grab our transpose tool. There it is. And I'm just going to draw straight down. And I'll move that into position. Get that right up against that strap there. And I'm going to get this right up against it. Just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my strap. And I'm going to move the strap around with my move brush. And I'm going to move that strap around to where it fits and it looks natural. So some of the strap is actually going to cover up this area. Okay, and so it kind of looks like the strap is fitting right up over the top of that hardware, and then it's fitting right through there just like so. Perfect. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now with this strap, you'll notice it's pretty low resolution. Hit Control-D to kind of sharpen that up. And there we go. Now if you want to create a hole in that strap, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to do anything real drastic or anything like that. In fact, I'm not going to create holes that actually go all the way through. I'm actually going to use the layer brush, which is a great way of creating very quick indentions. So let me take this down, and if I draw on this, actually let's hit Control-D one more time. Let's hold down Alt, and I can start to push in a little bit, just like that. And it'll dig into that, and it does it in a very linear fashion. Let me hit Control-D. Okay, so it'll push that in. If you want, you can go ahead and create other little holes on the strap, just like this. Okay, so totally up to you. Now again, this is just kind of meant to be not really a strap, it's kind of meant to be just a decorative piece, and so however you want to create that, it's totally up to you. Alright, now we've got that. We have that buckle which is still on the boot. We need to remove that from the boot. So we're going to split, and we're going to do split to similar parts. Hit OK. And I did to similar parts on this because I want you to take a look at the boot finished here. You'll notice that we've got some issues. It started splitting everything differently. We've got the boot finished. Let's go ahead and just delete that. Hit OK. But notice here that the boot buckle itself has split into a couple of different parts. And so I just wanted to show you this just in case it happens to you. What you'll want to do is you'll want to merge those down if you're finished. with it, of course. So I'm going to select this top one, and I'm going to turn off split. Let's go to merge, and I'm going to say merge down. It's an undoable option there, so that's okay. So we've merged that down. We've got the buckle. Then we have the strap. Now at this point, you need to determine if you are finished working with this. I'm not going to do that just yet until I know absolutely certain. So let's just leave the buckle the way it is. We'll leave the strap separate and then the boot separate, as well as the extract. Okay, because we can work on those in separate layers, and it's just going to make things a little bit easier. So now that we have our strap finished, I want to go ahead and I want to start finishing out the boot details. I'm going to come in and we're going to start working on some of the different stitching pieces, but more importantly, I want to get the texture of the boot and even some of the folds in there. And so we'll start working on that next.